Hi, I'm Phil, and welcome to the Xbox Show.
What's up, everyone? Hello, and welcome back to the Xbox Show, the podcast for the Xbox fans, by the Xbox fans, and of the Xbox fans. This is episode 2 for August 23rd, 2023. I hope you guys enjoyed the first episode. I really appreciate each and every one of you watching it on YouTube, listening to it on audio platforms. I was really surprised to see Amazon Music as being the platform where it was listened the most, but to all its own. Yeah, if you're watching us for the first time or listening to us for the first time, we are available on YouTube in the video format on my YouTube channel at Sugam Pixels. Please consider subscribing if you like Xbox content. And on audio podcasts, we are available on all audio platforms like Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, Spotify, Amazon Music, and even a few international podcast services like JioSaavn in India. And yeah, let's jump right into this episode. But before that, let's talk about what we're going to talk about. So first of all, we'll start off with the Xbox Series X wraps, and is that the end of special edition consoles? Next, we'll talk about the mid-gen refreshes and if Xbox needs one. And if we get a mid-gen refresh, what happens to the Xbox Series X and Series S, especially Series S. Next up, there is this entire Baldur Gate 3 saga where Xbox Series S has not been able to run split screen, and that's why we are not getting the game even on Series X, even though PlayStation does not have any exclusivity deal with them. Building up on that, we'll talk about other problems and other solutions that have come up for Baldur Gate 3. But one of the biggest surprises of this week was from the CMA, who, again, not surprisingly, struck down Microsoft's proposal and said that the restructured deal does not meet their requirements. And then Microsoft came up with a creative solution with Ubisoft. We'll talk more about that. Let me know down in the comments, how do you guys feel about it? And finally, we'll talk about Xbox's largest exclusive in a while. I don't think we have had a huge exclusive like Starfield for a while. So in the last 10-20 minutes of the podcast, we'll just talk about live action trailer that we saw at Gamescom and the first few minutes of gameplay that people from Gamescom have seen. And if you are at Gamescom, you must have seen the main attraction with the main Xbox booth. It's a huge Xbox booth. So yeah, now without further ado, let's get started with the Xbox Series wraps. The Xbox Series wraps, as the name can say, is a wrap that you put around the Xbox Series X and give it different looks. We have 3 designs available, 2 camo versions, and a Starfield Special Edition. So that begs the question, if we are getting these wraps instead of Special Edition consoles, is Xbox going away from Special Edition consoles? If you ask me, I'm more happy with these wraps, and because I don't have to go and buy multiple Special Edition consoles now, and we can just use these wraps and change the look whenever you want to. And when I say wraps, everyone thinks of the D-brand wraps, which are basically a vinyl strip with some art in front and adhesive on the back. It's really a pain to put on and remove, and if you're trying to put another one, it's a whole process to clean it up. But the wrap that Xbox has made is a custom designed piece. It's engineered fabrics and it is really high quality. If you were at Gamescom, you might have seen it in a display with Starfield. If you're watching us on audio, the video that's playing, that's basically the Starfield version, where you have all of these intricate details and just wraps around your console and attaches on the back with a Velcro. And it is a really tight fit and a really good fit. And as I said, it's fabric, it's not vinyl, it's fabric, and it has rubberized feel inside. So when you wrap it around your console, it just does not slip from your console or anything like that. And then also it has all of these details that are made on the front of the map and everything else. They are embossed, so they are raised. So if you touch and feel the wrap, you can actually feel those textures, which is really nice. And I heard a lot of people complaining on Twitter, like, oh, why did they choose to use Velcro? Why didn't they just put magnets? But let me tell you, magnets are not really good for your console. It can interfere with maybe the fan or like the other components inside heat sinks shouldn't be impacted much, but then we mechanical engineers, like I am a mechanical engineer full time, but yeah, we mechanical engineers, we don't like magnets unless it's needed. Like for example, if you want a magnet in a surface, obviously we have magnets on the surface keyboard, so you can attach it magnetically, but then you have to design around it, and you start with that as your zero requirement, like your first requirement. But if you don't if you come in with a wrap 2 years down the line, then it's not really a good choice to use magnets. That's why Velcro, and Velcro is also a good fit. It's a tight fit around it, and the material of these wraps are actually really nice. It feels like Alcantara. If you have ever touched a Surface keyboard, it feels like that. Obviously, it's not Alcantara. Alcantara is very expensive. But yeah, these are $50 a pop if you want to buy for the Starfield edition, or if you're getting the camo edition sets, it's $44.99, I believe. So yeah, a really smart choice. But special edition consoles were a thing of the past, I think, for Xbox now. The video that you're seeing right now, if you're watching us on the video platforms, is the Xbox Series X for Halo, the Halo Special Edition. And if you ask me, I didn't really like the Halo version. It was okay. It was not really an interesting design choice for me. But if I had just gotten a wrap, then I could have just replaced it, and then you don't need to get these special edition consoles all the time. And it's a pain, right? It's a pain to buy multiple consoles for 550. Instead, you just buy a wrap for $50, and then your console is new, nice, interesting look, and you get get the pleasure of both worlds. You can keep swapping your wraps and even match it with your controllers. So yeah, that's all about the wraps. Let me know down in the comments, what do you guys feel about it, and if you're listening to us on audio, please tweet me at the Xbox Show underscore on Twitter, or the Xbox Show SHO on Threads. Let me know how you feel about these wraps. All right, so that was all about the wraps, and even though those are interesting, the main interesting thing I found out this week was the conversation around mid-gen refreshes and how Xbox might not be coming with a mid-gen refresh. All of us know, not all of us know, but a lot of, there have been leaks that PlayStation is coming with a PS5 Pro and PS5 Pro Slim, and those are basically the mid-gen consoles for PlayStation. And what we have heard from Xbox is that they are not gonna make one. Xbox Series X was their mid-gen refresh, is the statement we have heard. Obviously, we know that the Xbox Series X is more powerful than the PS5 as it stands now, and we'll see what the PS5 Pro does. I'm hoping it will be more powerful than the Xbox Series X, because that engineering that 3 years after it was released, so it doesn't make sense if they were uh, less powerful than the Series X. PS5 currently is less powerful, but yeah, I'm hoping that the new PS5 Pro is more powerful. But then at Gamescom, IGN was talking to Phil Spencer, and he mentioned that the only new console that they have come up with is the Xbox Series S Black, the version which is $349, $349, I think. And then it comes with a 1 TB SSD. I don't really like that price point, to be very honest with you. If I'm in a store and trying, if I have 300, I have the Series X for 350 and a PS5 digital for 400. I think I'll choose the PS5 because it has better graphics, better everything. But the Series X is a good stepping stone. I really like the price point of the 512 gig version, which was $299. That was a clear differentiator from the 500 one. But then at the 359 price point, I don't know if it really makes sense, unless you are planning to use a Series X only and you're not interested in the Series X. Yeah, you want the Series S. You want to use it as a travel companion. You want to use it as a attached display. The ones that I have seen a lot of people on YouTube having this really tiny display attached to the Series S and taking it on the planes and stuff. So it can be really useful for that. But with the price point, I'm not really sure if that was a really great play to to launch this 1 TB version. But yeah, talking about that, there is another question that comes, right? If Xbox decides to make a Series S Pro and a Series X Pro or Series XL and Series XS, whatever they want to call it, if they do that, what happens to the Series S now? Series S is already struggling in a few games, and if they bring up a new generation of Series S, which is more powerful, maybe it's like a 6 or 7 teraflop machine instead of like the 4 one that we currently have. What happens to the Series S in that case? Would the developer support just drop for that? Would developers just abandon the Series S? And that would be a very, very bad look for Microsoft. And we have been seeing this happening a lot recently. Why I'm saying that is you might have heard, oh, this small game, really indie game called Baldur Gate 3. An amazing game. Yeah, it's an amazing RPG that a lot of people are considering to be the game of the year for this year. And if you're talking about a game of the year game that is missing from Xbox, and it is missing just because the Xbox Series S cannot do split screen co-op, couch co-op, it is really, really interesting look for Xbox, because this is a game that Sony didn't go and get exclusivity from. This is a game that has been playing really well in all the circles. And then you have this beautiful looking RPG that everyone can play co-op. And I'm pretty sure Xbox Series X can handle it really well. It's just that Series S can't handle a small subset that is the couch co-op. I am pretty sure that will be less than 5% of the Series S users would be using couch co-op with Baldur Gate 3. But that's what we're missing. We're not getting Baldur Gate 3 on Xbox just because Series S cannot deliver on split screen co-op, and Microsoft has a parity clause. What that says is all the games launching on S and X should have the exact same features. It's not very feature dependent, to be exact. Like, there have been games who have dropped, for example, ray tracing from the Series S version, and the Series X has ray tracing. And but this looks like a game mode, so might be more like parity on game modes. And then because it is missing that game mode, which is split screen couch co-op, Larian Studios, who are the developers of Baldur Gate 3, are unable to publish the game on Xbox. And by doing that, Microsoft is getting a lot of bad press. And then there have been questions about the capability of Series S, and if Microsoft made a mistake by actually developing the Series S. It has been a great, powerful device for getting new consumers into the Xbox ecosystem. But when these consumers now want to play Baldur Gate 3 and they're not getting it on the platform, that's a bad look. That's a really bad look. Especially for the Series X owners, they know that their console can play it, and they are unable to because of this clause. And it's not like Microsoft is not doing anything about it. They're actually working with the developers. They have actually sent out a lot of their developers to help Larian Studios with this. And it is still not working really well. And this is all this talk is leading up to Gamescom. And even at Gamescom, when IGN asked Phil Spencer, like, oh, what about Baldur Gate 3? When are we going to get that on Xbox? And his statement was very, very PR-esque. He talked more about, oh yeah, Series S is a powerful device, and we have sent our engineers their way, and they're helping them develop the game. Takes a little bit of an effort, but you have to optimize the game for run on Series S, all of that. But yeah, we are missing on Baldur Gate 3. Even though I've been playing a lot of it on PC, and it's a really, really amazing RPG. And it's obviously you can't compare it to a Skyrim or anything of that sort, but it's It's a RPG set in Dungeons and Dragons universe, and it's a top-down approach. It's more like gear tactics if you are looking by the uh, actions. It's not turn-based like gear tactics, but yeah, it's a really nice game. And yeah, I've dug into it a bit. uh, I'll see. I played it because my friends wanted me to play, so I just got it on Steam, and I've been playing it with them. Uh, I'm like 3 to 4 hours in, so not I'm not a very experienced person in Baldur Gate 3, and I had never played Baldur Gate 1 or 2. Just that with such a positive vibe going about around this game, and everyone just talking about it all the time, it was irresistible to stop. And then if your friends are playing the game, you want to play the game, and yeah, everyone is playing on PC for the moment though, because this game doesn't come out for PS5 until September until September 6th. That's when they get it. We don't get it, don't have a date yet. But but the interesting thing was at Gamescom, the CEO of Larian Studios actually met with Phil Spencer. Sven Wike. Sven Wickney? Winkey? Sorry, I butchered his name. But Sven Wickney, he announced on Twitter that super happy to confirm that after meeting with Xbox P3, which is Phil Spencer, yesterday, we have found a solution that allows us to bring Baldur's Gate 3 to Xbox players this year still. So we're still getting the game this year, but we still don't have a date yet. Something we've been working towards for quite some while. So yeah, they have already been working on the game. They've been trying to optimize it for Series S, and Series S has been the issue. So when I read this first tweet, I was like, oh, did they find a solution? Did Microsoft send more developers to Larian Studios to help with this split screen co-op thing? Looks like that's not the case. Looks like Microsoft might have done a one-off dropping the parity clause thing here. Because as he continues in a next tweet, all improvements will still be there with split screen co-op on Series X. That's the main thing. Series S was having the issue with split screen co-op, so they just dropped it from Series S. Series S will not feature split screen co-op, but will also include cross save progression between Steam and Series. So, Baldur's Gate 3 finally coming to Xbox. After all of this discussion about Series S being unable to run it, and it is still unable to run the split screen co-op, the mode. But I think this is the best way forward for the Xbox community, and we don't want to mess on this gem of a game just because one of our devices cannot run it in one of the very specific modes that only a small subset of the users will use. I know it might be disappointing for the Series S users if they wanted to use it, but now they have an option. If you are still playing online co-op, it would still work really well. You are an Xbox Series X, plays really well, even couch co-op. So uh, depends on the user, depends on everyone. But yeah, this could have been really bad PR if it didn't come out, or they decided to like not have it release on Series S at all. I think this is the best case scenario where Series X gets all the best features, Series S just misses out on that small subset of users who might have wanted to play it in couch co-op split screen. That being said, I'm really happy that Baldur's Gate 3 is actually coming to Series X and S sometime this year. We are still not sure when though, so we'll see. But our time is actually really packed already, right? We have Sea of Stars coming this week, which is a nice little indie game. Should be really fun. Next up would be September 6th when we get Starfield, and pretty sure it would be a large, huge Bethesda game, and we'll spend hours and hours and days into it. And then followed up by that, we have Forza Motorsport coming up in October, and then I'm pretty sure Lies of Pi will be a really really great game. It looks really awesome. Uh, I was hoping that uh, Stalker 2: The Heart of Chernobyl comes out sometime this year, but looks like it has been delayed to 2024. So maybe we'll see it in 2024, early Q1 2024. It might be the, as Phil had mentioned initially, that he wants one huge title for for every quarter, a huge Xbox title. So that might be our Xbox title for Q1 of 2024. Yeah, let me know down in the comments, people, how do you feel about Baldur Gate 3 and the compromise that Xbox leadership clearly had to make to allow Baldur Gate 3 to come up without couch co-op on Series S? And if you are a Series S owner, let me know if this impacts you at all. Do you think it's a deal breaker for new customers going into Series S? I don't think so. But at the same time, this is the first time we have seen this issue. What if a lot more games start seeing issues like this, and then there are features or like entire game modes that Xbox Series S is missing? That won't be a really great look for Xbox. I hope they are working behind the scenes to clear out some RAM, give up something to the developers. I don't know, neither Xbox nor Larian Studios have really talked about the technical side of things on why it is impossible to run that and what is the issue. Is it the GPU or is it the RAM? I'm assuming it is the RAM because that looks like the bottleneck to me, not the GPU, because 4 teraflop machine can still render at maybe 1080. The CPU, as many of us already know, is actually very close to the CPU on the Xbox Series X. So CPU should not be an issue. All right. That was the video from IGN. Now, moving on to this really interesting topic, that is Ubisoft Plus. And Ubisoft Plus, as you know, is the Game Pass competitor for Xbox. It's Ubisoft's way of running things. It's Ubisoft's subscription service. And as you might have heard, this week, CMA decided that the restructured deal that Microsoft presented to them was not good enough. They still think that there was an issue with the competition and Microsoft could just be this monopoly in the cloud market, and they still blocked the deal. So Xbox was not clear to get Activision Blizzard King. So what would they do? This is what they've done. Xbox sold all the Activision Blizzard King cloud rights to Ubisoft, which was a very, very interesting. I never thought that this was possible. I thought what Xbox would do is basically make a small entity or sell the cloud rights only in the UK to a third-party supplier. But this is not just UK. Even though UK CMA is the one that is blocking it, it's a global thing. So Ubisoft tweeted this out. As you can see, the Ubisoft Plus lineup is expanding. We are excited to announce a new agreement that will bring Activision Blizzard games to Ubisoft Plus via streaming upon completion of Microsoft's acquisition of Blizzard. We will also be licensing the game to a range of cloud streaming and subscription services. So, what does this all mean? Does this mean Activision Blizzard King games won't be available on Game Pass? What does it mean for all the deals that Microsoft made before this? What happens to the Ubits deal, the Boosteroid deal? What happens to the deal with Nvidia? So, by the looks of it, Microsoft has struck a deal such that Ubisoft Plus gets the cloud streaming rights, but it's non-exclusive rights. So Ubisoft Plus, or Ubisoft, I should say, Ubisoft gets a free range to the license. So it can sell the license of these cloud streaming games to any subscription services. So there might be a case where it's an Xbox exclusive. The next Activision game is an Xbox exclusive and you can only play it on Game Pass and you can only play it on Xbox and PC. But when it comes to streaming, you might be able to play it on PS5. Also, let's look at the statement from Microsoft. So this is Brad Smith, the VP of Microsoft. He wrote a blog post and it says, Ubisoft today announced the signing of an agreement which will give Ubisoft cloud streaming rights to the games like Call of Duty and many more, coming into effect upon our completion of acquisition of Activision Blizzard. The agreement includes the complete slate of current Activision Blizzard game, as well as all their new titles launching in the 15 years after closing of the Activision acquisition, closing of the Microsoft acquisition of Activision Blizzard. The games will land on Ubisoft Plus while also allowing Ubisoft to license them to cloud gaming companies, service providers, and console makers. It is interesting that they mentioned console makers. So Ubisoft might just get the license to license it to the PlayStation. It will be very interesting though. Like it says, the agreement includes complete slate of current Activision Blizzard games, and it's not just current. It also includes new titles launching for the next 15 years. And the licenses are in perpetuity. So the license never expires. Ubisoft Plus always, for the end of time, has a license for these games that are already launched and the games launching for the next 15 years. Mind you that these are only cloud streaming rights, but still, this is huge for Ubisoft and for Sony especially, right? They were scared about losing access to Activision Blizzard games. Now they can go throw money at Ubisoft and get them on PS Plus Extra, PS Plus Premium, something like that. One of their streaming services, one of their subscription services where they have streaming available. Another thing to note is that with this single subscription of Ubisoft Plus, multi-access players will soon be able to play their favorite Ubisoft games and stream their favorite Activision Blizzard games across multiple platforms, including PC, Xbox consoles, and Amazon Luna, and on the PlayStation platform through Ubisoft Plus Classics. So PlayStation players can actually just sign up for Ubisoft Plus Classics on PlayStation and play these games. PlayStation might also want to get these into their subscription service if there is a big game that Activision decides to launch and they want it. They can obviously go up and pay for that and get the license. Another thing to note is Amazon Luna is the third major cloud game provider in the US, and it has been very quiet throughout this entire Activision Blizzard King acquisition. But with this Ubisoft Plus deal, even though they didn't put any effort, they get all the Activision Blizzard King games, which is a really big win for Amazon. All right. Other follow-up statements. What he said is, in January 2022, Microsoft announced the proposed acquisition of Activision Blizzard to advance our goal to bring more creative and innovative games to players everywhere and on any device. Today, we are taking another important step regarding this transaction to address the concern about the impact of proposed acquisition on cloud game streaming raised by the UK Competition and Markets Authority that I have been calling CMA. We are restructuring the transaction to acquire a narrower set of rights. So what that means is now Microsoft acquires a narrower set of rights. Even though they're going to own Activision Blizzard King, they don't own all the rights. This includes executing an agreement effective at the closing of the merger that transfers the cloud streaming rights of all current and new Activision Blizzard PC and console games released over the next 15 years to Ubisoft Entertainment SA, a leading global game publisher. The rights will be in perpetuity. This is the big thing. The right will be in perpetuity. This is not like Microsoft going and giving them the rights and 5 years later they're like, oh, everything comes back to Microsoft. It is nothing like that. It is in perpetuity, so Ubisoft gets the right for all eternity. Moving ahead, he says that under the restructured transaction, Microsoft will not be in a position either to release Activision Blizzard games exclusively on their own cloud gaming platform, that is the Xbox Cloud Gaming, or to exclusively control the licensing terms of Activision Blizzard games for rival services. So they cannot stop Amazon Luna, they cannot stop PlayStation from getting the cloud streaming rights to any of the Activision Blizzard King games. The agreement provides Ubisoft with a unique opportunity to commercialize the distribution of games via cloud streaming. The agreement will enable Ubisoft to innovate and encourage different business models, the licensing and pricing of these games on cloud streaming services worldwide. Ubisoft will compensate Microsoft for the cloud streaming rights to the Activision Blizzard game through a one off payment and through a market based wholesale pricing mechanism. So they'll do a one off payment for all the games and then a wholesale pricing mechanism, including an option that supports pricing based on usage. So there might be a clause where, okay, if Call of Duty is on cloud and you get 10,000 hours of it, Ubisoft has to pay more money to Microsoft to have them being played on the cloud or something like that. It will also give Ubisoft the opportunity to offer Activision Blizzard's game on cloud services running on non-Windows operating system. So this was the other thing that even the FTC was trying to debate, that Microsoft is trying to get everyone, all the cloud streaming services, to switch to Windows and not use Linux or something else on the back end. All of this is interesting, but the main thing is Microsoft is trying to please CMA, and in doing so, I think the Xbox players, the Xbox fans are the ones who are losing a little bit on this, because now if you wanted to play all of these games on cloud, initially, like a week ago, we were thinking that everything will come to Game Pass and we can just play it on our phones, play it anywhere we want. But now it looks like you might need a Xbox, you might need a Ubisoft Plus subscription to play your games on the cloud. So you'll play on your PC, you'll play on your Xbox, but when it comes to cloud, you have to get another subscription, which will be not so great. But yeah, I don't really agree with the CMA's decision here, but they don't like Microsoft acquiring ABK, and I'm still a little confused about what happens once this goes through. Does Microsoft also pay back Ubisoft a certain amount of money and then add all of these games back to Game Pass cloud streaming? They can still do that, right? Because Activision Blizzard Kings, all the games, Ubisoft has the capability to license these games to anyone, right? Not restricted to Microsoft. Not It's like there is nothing that states that they cannot give the rights to Microsoft. So it might be the case that Microsoft is selling it all on a wholesale rate and then acquiring rights for all of these games for Xbox Game Pass through cloud streaming. But then it also satisfies CMA's concern that other cloud streaming services cannot do the same, cannot compete, because they can still go and get these licenses from Ubisoft. Oof, a long chain of thoughts on that. Next up, this is a long blog post. Of importance, Microsoft obligations to provide cloud streaming rights in the European Economic Area remain in place. In full compliance with Microsoft's commitment to EU, the agreement with Ubisoft has been structured so that Microsoft will still acquire the rights needed to fully honor its legal obligations under its commitment to European Commission, as well as its existing contractual obligation to other game providers, including Nvidia, Boostroid, Ubits, and Enware. Microsoft is engaging closely with European Commission to support EC's assessment of the agreement and confirmation that the commitments remain undisturbed. So yeah, that was another thing I was really worried about, is like Microsoft went ahead and signed all of these cloud streaming providers like Boostroids and Ubits and Nvidia GeForce now. And now with them selling the rights to Ubisoft Plus, what happens to all of these guys, right? They already signed a deal with Microsoft for a 10-year agreement. So it looks like even with this Ubisoft Plus deal, Microsoft still retains those rights. Microsoft can still abide by their contractual obligations, right? They can still provide all of these people with the games. And starting today, we are actually going to see GeForce now get PC Game Pass games. So it is Currently, just starting with Deathloop, Grounded, Gears 5, and Pentiment. These 4 games are available on GeForce Now today. If you have a GeForce Now subscription, you can just play them. And other PC Game Pass games are there too, I believe. So if you have a GeForce Now subscription and a PC Game Pass subscription, you can just play your games on the cloud. Even if you don't have the Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription, you can still play the games. So which is really cool and interesting for all the subscribers of us now. So that's all about Ubisoft Plus and all of these beautiful games that hopefully would be under Microsoft's umbrella on by October this year. And if they're not, CMA is gonna hear a lot from a lot of people. Everyone else has approved this acquisition. It's just the CMA that has been this thorn in the path of Microsoft acquiring Activision Blizzard King. I was hoping that we'll get all of these games on Game Pass soon. I was hoping that close the deal in July, and by December we'll have Call of Duty on Game Pass. But in one of the recent interviews with IGN, Phil Spencer mentioned that people think that acquisition and the game coming to Game Pass is an on-off switch. It's not like that. It takes them some work on the back end to actually convert those games to be able to support Xbox Game Pass. For example, a lot of these games are not even on the Microsoft Store on PC. And if you look at any PC Game Pass game, you'll realize that they are only downloadable through the Microsoft Store. So to get those games onto PC, they might have to port it to the Microsoft Store before they can add it to Game Pass. So all of these backend stuff that needs to be done before any of these games are added to Game Pass. So that's another important thing that people forget, is that trying to get games on Game Pass does not just stop at signing a deal. There's a lot of stuff that goes on in the back end that we don't even know about. All right. So this last about 10 to 15 minutes, let's talk about Starfield. Starfield, as all of us know, launching on September 6th. I'm really happy about this game. I have seen the previews, the deep dive that we got in June. Everything looks amazing about this game. This is like Skyrim in space, right? And I'm really excited about it. I'm taking 3 days off work to play this game. But yeah, September 6th to 9th, I'm off work. I didn't get the premium edition. That's because I am actually traveling in those 5 days. That's the long weekend in the US. It's the Labor Day weekend. I won't be home to play games. So that's why I decided not to spend that extra $30 and I just have the base version. I ordered it through my old Microsoft account. So if you are you know anyone at Microsoft, ask them to buy the game for you. You get 50% off. Microsoft employees and alumni get 50% off. So yeah, you can get Starfield for $35 or the premium edition for $50 if you know anyone at Microsoft. This might be restricted to US only, though. I'm not 100% sure if users and like if employees of if Microsoft employees in other countries get this discount as well. But at least the Microsoft employees in the US get this 50% off all Xbox games through the e-company store that's available only to Microsoft employees and alums. All right, so let's just talk about Starfield. Starfield, really great game, really interesting. And whatever I'm hearing, all the reviewers that have been reviewing it have been speaking great things about it. I haven't heard a single person come and say that there are so many bugs in the game, or there are so many, the game feels dead or anything of that sort. Everyone has been praising the game. Obviously, the reviews drop on August 30th, so there's that NDA that everyone has signed, so they can't really speak a lot about it. I'm still expecting, just by the vibes and the way everyone is talking, I'm expecting this to be a 90 plus Metacritic score. at least. We'll see about that, but yeah, 90 plus should be doable. Xbox has had its largest presence at Gamescom this year, and to begin with, Gamescom started with Starfield, and Microsoft has had this huge booth, huge section dedicated to Starfield where you have a theater, you can go in, watch Starfield, the first mission, a really exciting mission. We'll talk more about it in just a bit, but before even going into that, Gamescom opened up with a live action trailer for Starfield, and I really love the look of this trailer. Looks really awesome. There's this kid looking at an astronaut going into space, and that astronaut's like, "Oh, okay, I'll let me give you this constellation patch." And then he goes off into the sky on his spaceship, and then it's such a beautiful sequence of him going into space, just looking at like a planet, just being in awe of everything that's going around him. Then he's just like, yeah, I'm going to transit through space and look at stuff, but then space pirates. That's there's an interesting sequence of this like exciting dogfight, and then like, yeah, beat them. I'm gonna go back to Earth. Earth, I don't know, whatever the planet is. Oh no, he's exploring other planets, right? He's exploring other universes, exploring this desert planet, look with his robot buddy, looking at the sand and the space and the flora and fauna around. And then he's like, ooh, what is that? What's this shiny thing? And then he looks into it. Like that creates the awe and the mystery that you're looking for when you're looking at a trailer. So looks really exciting trailer. I'm sure this will pump up a lot more users to go and try this game out. A lot of if I would have seen this, if I had not known about Starfield and I had seen this trailer out on TV, I would be excited about Starfield. It's looking like a really great game that will get very soon. Starfield previews are looking great, as I already mentioned. A lot of reviewers have already gotten their uh, review codes and they're already playing. So I'm hearing good things about it, and yeah, that's really cool actually, right? And then if you had the chance to be at Gamescom, you saw the initial mission at Gamescom. But if you didn't, let me walk you through it. I'm not gonna spoil it a lot. I'm trying to hold off main moments, but this is the basic structure, right? You are a miner on a moon somewhere. You're just out mining in space, and this is where you feel like it's No Man's Sky because you are out with a laser and you're mining some stuff, mining an ore. You take that ore, you collect it basically, add it to your inventory, I guess, and then you are just walking through a cave and like trying to mine more ore, and then you see this glowing artifact like we saw in the live action trailer, and then you go and you touch it and then blackout. You don't know what hit you. And then when you wake up, there are these people like, oh, what happened to you? Who are you? Let us know. And then that's how they push you onto the character creator page. The character creator page is awesome as always. Bethesda has always done a great job with character creators, but this one is really cool. You can spend so much time in there, and I'm hoping people will spend a lot of time in it. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna spend at least a few hours trying to get every detail right for the character that I'm going to play with for at least 200 300 hours maybe, right? So that 1 or 2 hour that you gonna spend in that universe is gonna be cool, like just creating your artifact. And then just talking about the depth and breadth of this universe, it's a huge universe, right? You have thousands of planets. I think there are 100 star systems or 100 solar systems as we call it, and then each of them have 10 planets on an average. And so you can go to any planet. All of them are explorable, but the issue, not the issue, but the choice that Bethesda has made is they are going to only have life in the planets that are in the Goldilocks zones. So you can only find life in the planets that are in at the right location from their star so that water can be liquid. And then yeah, you go around in space, you collect resources, all of that. But yeah, coming back to the main mission that we saw at Gamescom, uh, you are basically hit by that artifact, you black out, and then you are like, oh, okay, I am this guy. And you step out after you create your character, you step out into this medical facility, and that's supposed to be like the first step out moment. Not as grand as Skyrim or Oblivion, but then you feel like, oh, it's stepping out. But that, because Starfield is such a huge game, they have like a series of step out moments, and it's not just restricted to that one. After that, you have that artifact with you, and then you are trying to deliver it to someone from the constellation, right? And then the constellation is like a group of legendary people that people only talk about, like they don't even know if they exist. These are explorers that are just free people, they are exploring the world. And someone from constellation reaches out to you to have you deliver that artifact. And that's where the story begins, right? You are trying to go and deliver that artifact, and then you leave this moon, you go into space, and then you look for the first time in space at all of these planets and moons. And that's supposed to be the second big step out moment. You see the moon, you see this, and you are in space, which is going to be mind blowing. It looks awesome. It looked awesome on the big screen. So excited to play it on my own. And then once you are in that space, you are trying to deliver that artifact, you meet pirates, you meet space pirates, and they are trying to get this artifact off you. You fight them off, and I'm not going to spoil it further, but yeah, it's a nice sequence. You try, go ahead, deliver this to this guy from constellation. You meet up, and then stuff happens and the game starts. And one of the other step out moments is like when you, for the first time, you land in New Atlantis, which is like this handcrafted planet that they have made. And once you step out into New Atlantis, you are like, okay, this is another step out moment that you, when you look at it, it's like a huge planet that is developed by Bethesda. It's all handcrafted. A lot of these planets are procedurally generated, but then they're populated with handcrafted stuff. New Atlantis is the largest city that Bethesda has ever made. So once you land into New Atlantis, you are like, okay, cool. And obviously, talking about customization, as I already mentioned, you can customize your character, but then you can also customize your spaceship to look anything you want. And that we saw that in the Starfield deep dive. There was a few sections where you can go and build your starships. All of that looked really interesting. I'm really, really, really hyped for this game. I hope you guys are too. And yeah, let me know down in the comments, where are you playing this game? Are you playing on PC, on your phones, or on Xbox Series X or Series S? Yeah, so that's all about Starfield. I'm gonna shamelessly plug myself in here. This is the Starfield controller. If you haven't seen one already, I am working on a review for the Starfield controller, and it should be out on my YouTube channel early next week. This controller has this constellation color palette around the Xbox logo, all these intricate markings on the faceplate that are very game specific, like thrust and grip here, and all of these artifacts. It looks really cool. The joysticks have this red underbelly to them. If you turn it around, you'll see the red underbelly for the entire controller. And even the grips are rubberized. This is selling for about $80 in the US. Really, really nice controller. One of my favorite custom controllers. I'm going to get a Starfield wrap to couple with this and make my Xbox Series X a Starfield special edition. Yeah, that video is going to be up soon, early next week. And then mid next week, I'm going to put up a video that basically talks about everything Starfield. It's basically a Starfield preview. All you need to know, it's a full length video. It might be around 30 to 40 minutes. If it goes longer, I might just turn that into episode 3 of the podcast. But yeah, that should come up end of next week. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this podcast. If you did, please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button on YouTube. Follow us on all the podcast services. Follow us on your favorite podcast services around the globe. And let us know in the comments if there's any improvement you would like me to do. Like, yeah, if I am pretty open to constructive criticism, Let me know in the comments how I can improve, what I can do better next time around. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this video, and I'll catch you guys in the next episode.